We will start. Good afternoon. I'm not allowed to move apparently because this is my sort of...
Oh, you can move a bit.
I'm allowed to move a bit,
yeah,
but Dave, try and stay in this...
Yes.
Good afternoon. Hello, hi, yes, thank you Jenny, at least somebody's out there clearly. Quick question, put your hand up if this is your first one of these, all hands. Okay, there's going to be a further, we'll answer some more further checks of newness in a moment, but just, so for those of you that this is the first, we try to do this about every 6 weeks. Depending on whether we've really got sort of content to share with you. So it is a two-way thing. So one, the management team will present where we are on certain topics, but I will try to make sure that we leave some time at the end for Q&A. And genuinely, it's an open forum, so anything you want to ask, you can do. So what we're going to go through this afternoon, Hannah's going to give an update on HR and the office and the facilities and stuff. You will have noticed the new heaters and things, so particularly thanks to Claire, Mario, and Chris for the work that they've done in helping with the office upgrade. Rob's got a slide on engineering. Mario with all his gear. He's got an update on what we're doing with IT. Kate, brand and marketing, and then I'm going to say a few words, which we'll say to the end, because I think you might have some questions, and therefore I've put them at the back to talk about where we are with our Series A fundraise, and then company objectives. And we will try to leave a good 20 minutes or so for Q&A. But if we get to the end at 4 o'clock, because I don't want to go past 4 o'clock, if I sense there's still questions unanswered, what we will do is give people the opportunity, either personally or anonymously, to put any questions in, and I'll make sure that you get an answer.
So we've all got the same kind of layout in terms of where we are today, where we're going, and how we plan to get there. So, first of all, since the last All Hands, we've had 8 new hires across IT, facilities, marketing and engineering. We've got a further 2 new hires joining us between now and the end of March, one of which will be a talent acquisition and HR specialist called Gemma, who's worked with Paul in the past, who will be able to really take the lead on recruitment. And another is an embedded software engineer who will be able to support you, Pete, on the embedded side as well. So by the end of Q1, total headcount will be 40, which is double what it was this time last year, basically, for anybody who was here 12 months ago, which Kate had a great idea, actually. If we could ask anybody who was here more than 12 months ago, if they could stand up now.
So if you've been here more than 12 months, run around.
That would include my son.
Yeah, okay. And you, yeah? You're 12.
No, I haven't been here 12.
Are you not?
No, just less than. And then
Should we get the newbies on my side?
Anybody who's been here less than 12 months, please stand up and go to that side of the room.
The dog has been...
Now we're going to have a gigantic wrestling match.
Okay, so the purpose of that really is to give you a visual representation of how much we've grown in the last 12 months. And really that more than 50% of the workforce has been here less than a year. So, I mean, I'm only just a year.
You're a year this way.
Dan, Lilith, Ben, you're literally a year within the last few weeks, aren't you? So, you could say that we should be on that side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really to just give you a visual representation of how much we've grown. The last All Hands was in November. We did say then that we're going to accelerate recruitment and get lots more resource in to support, the delivery of the project. And hopefully, from that you can see that that's what we've done. So there we are.
It is, in a great way, shocking that more than half the people have been here less than a year.
So with that increase in the number of people that we've got, we need to start operating much more professionally, like a real business really. So part of that is we started to put policies and procedures in place to really support the internal growth and ensure that we've got consistency across the business. One thing we started to do, if we haven't already with you, will be in the coming weeks, is doing self-evaluations and feedback. So that enables you guys really, it gives you the opportunity to showcase your achievements, give some feedback, and yeah, put personal development plans in place for everybody really. So where are we going? So by the end of Q4 this year, we expect to have 60 plus FTE. Again, if you were in the last all hands, that's what we said then, and you know, we're going to be 40 by the end of this quarter, so that will increase as we go throughout the year. 65% of which will be engineering. We are an engineering business, so that will always be the biggest department within the company. We will have a full suite of policies and procedures, again, to make sure that we've got consistency across the business, structured and continuous feedback. There'll be improvements to the facilities, and we will transition to a new or additional site in 2025. But most importantly, we aim to have improved employee satisfaction throughout this year. Oh, Michael, put my touch on this.
That one.
Pressing this one.
So can you say what are policies and procedures? I think some of you know anyway, but this is part of the company growing up, is we passed our, it's a bit like swimming proficiency, we passed our stage 1 ISO 9001 and 14001 last month, and we have the stage 2 on the 11th of March. Stage 1 is, do you have written policies and procedures, which we managed to cobble together. Stage 2 is a little bit more testing, because it actually says, do you follow them? So we will then have an auditor in who will then say, please show me evidence that you do this sort of stuff. So I think having ISO 9000 and having ISO 14000 is another demonstration of us just actually growing up as a company. So I think that's, so thank you all, particularly Alan and you, for the work that's been done on that to get us to that level.
So how do we plan to get there? Hiring. So we need to continue to build the team. We obviously need more resource. Paul, you've done a fab job since you joined, so thank you very much, Paul. But yeah, basically for us to get to that 60 plus FTE, we're going to need another 20 new hires at least, and that's business-wide. Main focus will be on engineering, but yeah, we need to build out typical business functions as well. So Gemma, who's joining on Monday, she'll really be able to take the lead on searching and attracting top talents. She'll also support in onboarding and induction, so we know we're not perfect in that area. We have been doing quite a bit of firefighting, particularly since I joined. We've just been trying to get as many people in as possible and build out the team. So Gemma will work with both Paul and I to really improve the onboarding and induction plans to support that internal growth and basically get people up to speed much sooner. So when they arrive, day one, we want to be able to get people up to speed, within a few weeks really. Objectives, feedback and training. So again, it's really been quite informal up to this point, but we plan to set quarterly objectives which are aligned with the overall company goals, which Steve will touch base on shortly. And we also need to provide more training and professional development as well. But when it comes to feedback, we expect the same back from you guys. So, we can't improve things if you're not honest with us about it. So, when we're doing self-evaluations or if it's just general day-to-day feedback, give it to us, help us. We want to improve things. So we really need you guys to be honest with us in what you think that we could do better. Policies and procedures. So as we continue to grow, we will introduce more policies and procedures to, again, ensure consistency company-wide. Some of those things will be, for example, like a working from home policy. It's quite casual the way that we do it at the moment, but we just need to make sure that it's fair and consistent across the board. Another one is an employee referral scheme. So this is something where we're basically saying to you guys, we need to recruit lots of people, help us, and you can earn some extra cash by doing so. So I'll publish the full details and the scheme by the end of this week. But in short, if you know somebody that would be, really well suited for the business and a role that we have vacant, put them forward for it, and you could earn up to £1,000 if that's successful.
Sorry, can you just count Paul out of that for me, please?
Yeah, I know. I do it for the love of it.
Office and facilities, so we need to increase the seating capacity, because if we're going to get to 60 FTE by the end of this year, we need some more seats. So there's going to be a move around downstairs, so everybody downstairs probably already knows that, but I think over the next couple of weeks there'll be new desks coming in, which really increases the seating capacity downstairs, and then we'll probably be doing something similar upstairs, just to make sure that we've got enough room to seat everybody. And yeah, as we've got more people arriving, we'll need to improve things like kitchen facilities, but again, anything that you think would be good, give us your ideas and suggestions. That would be really helpful. And in the meantime, we will continue the search for a new site with modern facilities. So Steve is going to have a look at one tomorrow. I think, aren't you?
Yeah, well, just up the M6, or Junction 6, so it's not far away. I think, we talked about, in terms of the site things, obviously, where you come to work is important to everybody. We know our lease here runs till the middle of 2026, but frankly what will change before then is we'll physically outgrow the site. We just won't have enough space. So we're looking for another site, and then gradually we'll migrate to that. But 80% of you basically live in a B postcode, so it's important for us that it isn't too far from here. So we are, a few of us, looking for sites as close to here as we can find.
Mm-hmm. And communication, last but not least. So as we are continuing to grow, we're not, small anymore. We can't kind of just do this once a week like we used to. So we're going to introduce an internal newsletter in March with the support from Lizzie. Really just giving updates once a month. Sometimes it might be more frequent than that. So anything that you've got to share, we'll ask for your input on that too. But it'll include things like, what's going on in recruitment, what's going on in other departments, and it'll really just be a bit of an update in between these sessions. So yeah, any suggestions, let us know. But yeah, most importantly, as we continue to grow, the way that we interact with one another is really important. We've got lots of different cultures, lots of different personalities in the mix now. Excuse me. So yeah, just be mindful of the way that you're kind of communicating with one another and how that may come across really. But we play our part in that too. So one thing we thought would be really good is arranging an off-site afternoon every quarter. So the first one we'll do is towards the end of March. We've got the escape room booked, and we'll go for food afterwards. But ideas for future off-sites and any kind of team building, again, welcome. Let us know what you think would be good. All right, there, Dan. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yes, but yes. So, as part of that, the engineering team is the biggest department, and we thought it would be good to share the engineering structure. So, what you can see in light orange, yellow, however it comes across, those are all of the vacant roles that we've got between now and the end of the year. So I will bring you in, Rob, to this discussion.
So part of my plan, the journey, is to move from a start-up to a high-performance engineering team. And that means changing the way that we engineer and the structure. In order to do that efficiently, I need to understand every one of yours aspirations as an engineer, where you want to go, what you're capable of, where your challenges are. So this structure is more now of a high-performance engineering team structure. The vacancies that are shown in yellow will either be internal promotions or external appointments. Which is which at the moment is TBD. However, with two caveats. We need a functional safety owner. So one of them is Fuser. The next one is a quality manager that comes in to make sure what we're doing, is to the highest quality possible. But that's to give you an idea of the structure, how it's morphing into well, I believe, the final form for engineering. Part of this, and I'll touch back on what Hannah said, is that we'll put in place an individual development plan for every one of you. And that development plan is to push you to be, a more capable engineer, and to allow you to have the tools to overcome the challenges that I'll ask of you to overcome. As you can see, and I've mentioned it to several people, I am looking for a singular lead for departments. Somebody that knows the timing, knows the allocation of the work to work with Ben. In the short term, I've stepped into the role of software and hardware to help drive that forward, to understand, to train, and to bring the team to an understanding of what the team leader needs to be. So that's the structure. Any questions on the structure at the moment? We can talk about it later, but I just wanted to ask you questions.
We'll put this on a drive somewhere that people can see it, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah? So I think all of these slides, I think there's nothing in there that's oversensitive, is it? So, yeah.
So I've only got one.
Your slide has disappeared.
The slide that I had has disappeared that was going to show the roadmap. Sorry, Mario, IT problem on my behalf, I think. Lily, did it get to Ben?
Should we do IT and then?
Yeah, let's do IT and I'll come back to the
We'll come
roadmap.
back to it.
The roadmap is going to talk about 3 phases. Where we are this year, where we're going to be next year, and where we're going to be in 2026. To give you an idea of the level of engineering that has to be performed. Okay? So can we go on to you then, Mario?
Yeah.
Come back to that.
Okay, we'll do IT and then we'll come back to the engineering.
Version control. Someone just.
Right, thanks, Hannah. Thanks.
Thanks everyone for your time. I'm going to be quick. There's only about 300 slides to go. So, firstly, and without making it sound like an Oscar speech, can I have a round of applause for Chris for all the hard work that he does?
Very good.
And not only to call him out and embarrass him a little bit more, all the stuff outside of the realm of IT, like the lights, the thermostat, the CCTVs, the Ring doorbell, and helping me get my feet under the table, because I've not just been swanning around in a waistcoat. I've been doing some of the things that I'll quickly tell you about, but I did want to thank Chris personally in front of everyone, because you do a great job, and we wouldn't be together without it, so thank you. So where are we today? So we're working hard to build a document library of all the key processes. Hannah's touched upon it from an IT perspective to make sure that we reduce the single person dependency that's currently all fallen on Chris. So this is things such as starting up the building in the morning, what to do when the servers sort of fail, etc., etc. All the stuff that we've not had the time to document and write down. Things like disaster recovery, business continuity, and acceptable user policies when our new staff start to help sort of govern and weaponise how we bring people into the business and create a standard of quality going forward. It helps with accreditation. And these are some of the things that I've been working with Hannah and Rob and various other members of the SLT to complete. I mentioned Chris doing a great job, and we thank everyone for your support and patience. The IT is not great. I'd be lying if I said it's perfect. It's not. And every day you have challenges, but it's unfortunately, but being honest, going to get absolutely worse before it gets better, because we've got to pick apart some key things that have been built in over time. So we're doing things like changing our web host provider and changing the way our servers work and permissions, and all the stuff that you see me send emails out about. So a lot of stuff's happening behind the scenes at the minute, and a lot of stuff is going to break. All I would ask you to do is bear with us. Really appreciate it. One of the things we are removing is the only key. So we're going to start off with upstairs. All the folk upstairs won't authenticate onto laptops with that little plastic key that you use. Downstairs, and we'll talk about data in a minute, we're working on that too. So going forward, we'll be secure enough where we don't necessarily need this friction, which is at the minute you're coming in and spending 20 minutes logging into the computer. So we've talked about certification, and Hannah and Rob and others have mentioned various other certifications. We're aiming for 27,001, which IT, data and security, amongst other things. And that will help going forward, and I'm working with vendors, and I'll show you some of the work that we've been doing with vendors to move us to the cloud and what that means in a sec. We've talked about removal only key. One of the other things that I know hurts is meeting room facilities. All the kit has now arrived to make that better. We're just finding the time, more Saturday work for Chris and I to kind of put it in, but we'll make that better for you. So support from you, please bear with us. I know you're under pressure doing your own job, and IT gets in the way sometimes. We really try and help with that, and Chris does a far better job than me making sure that all works for you. But where there are problems, just bear with us over the next probably 3 to 6 months while we try and smoothen that out. But we are getting there, and we obviously, of course, listen to you and all the problems and challenges that we have, and we try and put these systems in place to help you. So what have we done? Well, we've got a standardised kit provider, so if you're new, you will get better equipment straight off the bat. So those of you that joined the company recently, you'll have much better laptops than those that started some time ago. We will retrospectively go back and true that up over time, but we've got a dedicated vendor now, Misco, that provide all standardised kit. We have a credit line with them, and we're starting to roll out standardised kind of setup programs. So when Hannah tells us that we've got new people joining, if you're an engineer or you're a project manager, you already have a piece of equipment set up ready for you. We're starting to automate some of that. So although it's in its infancy, we're getting there with that. I presented the board an executive summary to kind of map out what I see as an IT person and help with where we're going in terms of an IT and technology roadmap, which I'm going to show you. Benny, I've got to call out as well, has been doing an awesome job helping us start to put in Jira and Confluence. And over the next, starting from Friday, we'll be doing some immersion lunch and learn sessions on Jira and Confluence for the software engineering team that I know it's in its infancy at the minute, but again will help and change the way we potentially do software engineering. And we've got a new hire joining the IT team, hopefully, somewhere May, June time. So that will increase the IT team to 3 and take some pressure off Chris. So the map, very quickly, is in 2 parts. We're doing and I'm doing 2 things for the business. There's Rob and engineering side and providing you cloud architecture and infrastructure and working with people like Michael and Alan, who's been awesome. And all of you, although I've not spent time with you all, to try and understand what we need to commercialise the DC offering, right? And I reckon I've got a good understanding of that because of you, so thank you. And what you're looking at on the screen is the articulation of that to a vendor to kind of explain the things we would do to put in a cloud proposition, and I'll go into some slight detail in a minute, but I don't want to spend too much more time. And then there's our roadmap, Chris and I, and it's just sorting the vendor management out and deprecating or getting rid of the only key and publishing the policies and documents, moving to cloud, sorting the VPN out, implementing an ERP, which at the minute is looking like Microsoft Dynamics, but that's up for negotiation. I guess what I'm trying to show you here is have some confidence that there's been a little bit of thought put into this. And I do promise you that I will start to involve you in the roadmap and start publishing it once it starts to become a little bit more crystallised. We are at that point, so over the next few weeks I'll be involving you all more and coming around to see you and start fleshing out requirements for things and also giving you an opportunity to ask questions. So just some things that we've talked about, that we've cracked, and again, thanks to Chris, in particular for helping free me up to do some of this. Single vendor for IT is really important. All the kit's going to suddenly start getting better. We are moving some of the data into the cloud, and on that, we've done a map, and although this is a picture that very sort of loosely articulates it, I'm just trying to demonstrate my understanding that I know that we've got high sensitive data, mechanical engineering data, sim data, all the stuff that is our bread and butter. That's not going anywhere for now. But what we also have is a regular business that does regular business things, and some of that stuff at the minute is locked on servers downstairs that really doesn't need to be. So I'm working with a vendor to kind of move some of this into the cloud, and it will free up some of the challenges that we have with permissions and sharing, etc., etc. And these drawings that you see are really important because they articulate something that's so complicated that you guys and girls know day in, day out, because you do it and you live it and you breathe it. When you actually come to talking to vendors and others, it's a way of articulating it. So if you see these pictures that look like they've been done by my daughter, it's my way of articulating something complex. I've been working with Node4. Node4 are an infrastructure vendor, but they also specialise in containerised, and I mean physical containers, technology like you're going to be putting into containers and putting on site. They specialise in that, and I've been engaging with them over the last 7 weeks to kind of understand an operating model. So the work's split into 2. And I'll skip you too much detail, but you can come in and talk to me afterwards. Tranche 1 is all of us upstairs, the ERP, CRM, everything that supports running Petalite. Downstairs is all the cloud infrastructure that I talked to you about. Again, another picture that kind of very dangerously simplifies, and I know that, but I have somewhat had the blessing of people like Michael and Alan and others as I've gone through this with them. This is a way of me being able to leave the business and articulate to a vendor what we do and what we're trying to do. So these pictures that you see kind of help with that, and there are many more, and I guess because I'm going to finish now, this is just to show you that there's a bit more substance behind what's happening behind the scenes, and I encourage you now to ask questions, come up to me, you know where I sit, and have a coffee with me. That is about it for IT, and I've whizzed through that, but I won't take any more of your time.
Half, and then C. Okay, it's C. It's C. So if I just show you this, so I've done a kind of audit, social media audit, and I've gone through all of the channels and all of the platforms, but this is just a snapshot, as I say. The blue bars are followers, and you can see that Campower got just 37,700, and you can see Petalite kind of quite low down there. And then the green bars show how much they've been growing over the last 12 months as well, so you can kind of see the kind of environment they're working in. Now, when I put this data up, I just want to say that for a business and R&D phase, this is completely appropriate. It's just where we're building from right now as we kind of go to launch products to market. So a target of 5,000 followers for Petalite by the end of the year, so kind of double what we're on at the moment. And we'll be ramping up to 3 posts a week. So started posting last week. Thank you for those who've been liking and commenting. Much appreciated. And going forward, it would be great to get you all involved in that. It's called Employee Amplification. I've looked at everybody's LinkedIn profiles. I've been stalking you. Together, we've got 19,000 reach versus the 2,500 or so that we've got on the company platform. So anybody can help, comment, like, repost, etc. And what I'll do is I'll do a lunch and learn in March. So anybody who would like a bit of best practice, hints and tips, we'll go through that. And I should provide some good snacks as well. So, next one is website traffic. You can see here some of our competitors on monthly website traffic for organic traffic, that is. And so you can see again, we've got a way to go. So the target by the end of the year is 2,000 monthly visitors to the website to get us more in line with some of our competitors. So that brings to how do we get there? So you can see I've split the diagnosis building foundations will ramp up between all the different quarters throughout the year. Quarter 1, we'll be delivering a brand refresh, or we'll be working on a brand refresh. I've got some recruitment going on. I've got a product marketing manager live role at the moment. I've just talked about the kind of channel audits that I've been doing, and we've got an interim website hopefully launched on Friday, and that's what I'm calling a sticky plaster website while we build out the new one. So in quarter 2, what you'll start seeing is an internal brand launch and an external brand launch. We'll start producing and promoting more regular content, and then also by the end of June we'll have a brand new website. Okay? And then that goes into ramp up phase in quarter 3 and 4. And we're going to have hopefully an up to speed, fully awesome team. Good shout out to Lizzie, who is already part of the team and has been brilliant and a true brand and graphics expert. It's been great to work with. And then the product marketing manager will come in and work on some of these things like the value proposition for the product, customer personas, and ABM strategy means account-based marketing strategy. So very targeted account sales rather than lots of high volume leads, that type of thing. And then we'll have a fully optimized channels, so social, PR, events will be fully up to speed on that, and regular thought leadership and a full content plan. So that's where we're kind of getting to by the end of the year and how we will get there. And just to say that I'm very excited to be here at this point in time in the company's journey. I think it's going to be a really exciting year to be here. So that was it from me. Any questions?
So hopefully people are aware of some of the development activities on this slide. If you're not, I've got a big concern. Ben, put your hand up, Ben, the new Ben, is coming in to take over program management and timing to actually help write these down to manageable tasks. So what you'll see, we've got 3 phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is this year, okay? And the top line is the technology that we have to develop. The second row, or the second line, is where it's going to be applied. And the third is R&D. So if we start at the second row first, the first one is to actually, look how far you came. Because last week, we actually tripled the power out of a single core SDC to 3.3 kilowatts. And that's been the output of your hard work. So that's the first step. The second step is to actually increase it to 10 kilowatts so we can fulfill the Ultra. Ultra feeds into Flip, where we have to understand the thermal management, and then it feeds into Osprey with the dynamic switching, the OCP, and the vehicle comms. That is really what we're focusing on this year. That allows the charge station, grid to vehicle charging, but also for us to be able to design a new post that has 2 charge points. Underneath that, we're doing some R&D. So the first part of the R&D is the bidirectional inverter that Stavros is looking into. The second part is then again doubling the power through the SDC for a better transformer design. And all this is possible because we're looking at what it requires to firmly manage. Okay. Next year, and actually thanks Steve for this, we've got another opportunity with Viridi. Viridi wants to make a portable charge station, and they have a battery solution. So the technology that comes out of Flip with the dynamic switching will be sent over to Viridi in America, who will build it into a container to demonstrate portable charging. Now, the posts for Viridi will be bolted onto the container because they want to be able to lift it up and move it. So, next year, phase 2 is all grid to battery, battery to car technology. And at the same time, we're looking at then coming back to the AC-DC bi-directional home charger. So the technology that has to be developed. We have to develop the software to allow the batteries to be controlled. We have to demonstrate the integration of the battery technology. Okay. So the R&D that goes on in 24 to hit 25 is to look at the solid state relays, to design out relays and put MOSFETs in. The second part is embedded die. So rather than having the PCBs on top of the board, they're actually within the PCB. Increased power density, increased reliability, reduced cost. And also the IT cloud and power and charge station for predictive maintenance algorithms. That leads into phase 3, which is we have a true solution that can meet all the energy needs of society. Grid to vehicle, grid to battery, battery to vehicle, battery to grid, car to grid. So that's where we are in terms of the roadmap. And to go back to what I said earlier, this year, 2024, we'll be sitting down and putting in the detailed timing to allow everybody to understand exactly what they need to do to make sure that it all comes together at the 11th hour. I didn't say the 12th because I want to get done slightly ahead of time. And that's the engineering roadmap. One of the things that came out of this, and Steve will talk a bit more about it, is P3. P3 has come in to do an audit of our technical capability. And one of the things they've mentioned is there's a lot more paintable IP in what we've done over the last 6 months. We have a meeting with our patent officer Friday to go over some of those patents to start the application. So not only are we innovating, and I know marketing doesn't like the word, we are creating new IP, new technology that wasn't there before. Otherwise we couldn't patent it. And I know as engineers that sometimes it feels hard. But just think of what you've done. You came up with new technology that can be patented, and you've done something that said couldn't be done, and increased the power of a single core to 3.3 kilowatts. And that's the first step. And some of you will here, we're in the phase of training athletes to compete. Okay? So any questions on that before I hand over?
Big milestones we've got this year in terms of actually a product going out, to use Ben's expression, into the wild. So obviously we've got Flip, which we're going to do around September-ish, fingers crossed. Rob and I have inserted Viridi, and for those of you who perhaps don't know what we mean by Viridi, Rob and I went 2 weeks ago to the US to meet this company through one of our shareholders, Michael. Viridi is a battery company, and essentially what we're doing is marrying our charging technology with their battery technology so that we can do mobile charging. And we think there's a great business opportunity for us in the US. So when we do Flip, at the same time we're going to send a set of power cores out to Buffalo, New York, to Viridi, for them to put in a container with their battery and then make a demonstration unit. If it's successful and there's real interest, and we think there could be from a company called Sunbelt Rentals, which is a huge plant equipment hiring business, what we would then do, working with Viridi, is probably bring forward the United States launch, the UL launch, that we were going to do in 2026. So we would then probably push continental Europe beyond that and do the US first. So we do UK launch, and I'll answer your question, so UK launch, US launch, which would have to obviously UL certify the product for, and then Europe. So Flip first, Viridi pretty much at the same time. Then we've got this development site in Liverpool for Osprey, which we're going to do in the fourth quarter, which is a low voltage site. If anyone's up Knowsley Way in Liverpool, it's a pub called the Copper Pot. It has some Chempower, I think. Chempower in there, it's a low. Anyway, there is already some kit there. We will add our kit to that. And then the fourth project, which we will also do in Q4, is Star City, and that's obviously up the road. And I think you can all have a look at what's in Star City there, which I think is Chempower. Right. Anyway, we will add to that, and in that site we're putting a megawatt.
Yeah, 1 megawatt
and
12 charge
with 12 charge posts. So we're doing that in the fourth quarter. So those are the 4 projects. So Flip, Viridi, Liverpool brackets Osprey, Star City brackets Osprey. When we've done those, we will then, in the fourth quarter, hopefully before then, try to agree with Osprey how many we're going to do in serial production next year. So serial production for Osprey in the UK will start in 2025. What we haven't yet agreed with them is when do we start and how many. But what I can say is Osprey have about 1,000 installed charge posts in the UK. Well, they did that. They had that up till last year. They've got another 1,000 in 2023, more or less, and we think they're going to do about another 1,000 this year. That 1,000 adds up to, in terms of cash, any sense of what the total wallet is?
What in terms of our revenue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all going from about 15 million to 76 million.
So we will go from nothing at the moment because we're living off grant income. If we will land somewhere between 15 and 70 million into 2025, depending on how quickly we can. But basically, we can scale up the company and scale up production. And I think 6 of us are going to Cork next week to meet Flex again. And part of the discussion with Flex is how we scale them up to meet what we do. Because really, for these early ones, it's probably a little soon for Cork to ramp up to do it. So we're pretty much going to do it ourselves.
I'd just like to add to Steve that Dan, Paul, Ben and myself went down to a company called NDE.
Yes. So
That are looking at designing and running the manufacturing capability to make the transformers in the series volume we want. We need, is it down about 1,000 transformers to see out this year? Next year, on conservative figures, we need 70,000. We can't make a transformer that's a foil wound in those volumes, so we have to change the design. And that's where we're talking. And the company spoke to NDE want to invest to make the manufacturing lines for us. They want to put their own money in to put the automation in to make these transformers.
all right. Where did we get to? Because we had to jump about a bit.
So I think we're back to you now, Stu, because Kate and Mario both went.
Yeah.
So I think it's now the Series A.
Right. So yeah, Series A fundraising company objectives. I'll talk about Series A fundraise, and then well, let's do company objectives. We had an offsite, a few of us, a couple of weeks ago. Kate has brought in a marketing agency who are helping us finesse really what the company, how the company's voice is, and how do we want to describe ourselves, which will lead to a very clear vision for the company, mission for the company, what is our DNA, and what are our values. So we're still finessing that bit, but the team, all of us, and that includes me in operations, have put together what do we want to try to achieve this year. So I asked everybody to come up with really a number of things. One, what's your 2024 objectives? Two, what are the things that is dependent on? So you can only achieve it if X happens. Three, how would you measure it so that you know whether it's happened or not? Four, where do you want to be in 2026? And then five, what's your vision for your own department? So each of us have taken that away and done some work really in each of these areas. When we finished with Curious, which is the brand agency, in the next, 2 weeks? Okay. Three, okay. In the next 3 weeks, we will publish this. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of having a sort of next all hands in 6 weeks, we'll probably have one in 3 weeks when we've got that, and we'll just focus on objectives, vision, mission, and other things. So I think it's important for us all to have that. But I'm very excited about it, because I think what it will give us is real clarity for every department and everybody in every department, what their 2024 objectives are, how they're going to measure them, and where they want to be in 2026. And that covers basically not just engineering, but everybody else as well.